my sponsor at the time challenged me on that. This is the early days, probably 2001 maybe or something like that. And he said, "Okay, you don't believe anything?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like, well, it's just you know, when your sister died, were you angry? And I said, "Yeah, fucking angry." He's like, "Well, how can you be angry at something you don't believe in?" And I was like, "Damn it!" And actually, what I said is, "There's nothing you can say to make me believe there's a God." And then he said that, and I was like, "Okay, there's one thing."
Hey, so that was just one little clip from our very eclectic conversation today. Ryan and I had another one of our unscripted, no agenda episodes that the conversation just goes in a really great direction. And I'm really glad that we're doing it that way. Hey, listen, title sponsor for today's episode is the Yatra Trauma Center here in Krabi, Thailand, where I reside. For those of you that might not be familiar with my journey so far, and I know there's more and more people joining the platform all the time, Yatra is why I came to Thailand in the first place, and I decided to stay for a variety of reasons. That first 30 some odd days when I attended the residential treatment program was actually life-changing for me, absolutely life-changing. They treat trauma, they do it very, very, very well. And, they do like to say that where addiction is a smoke, trauma is a fire. You can learn more if you head to our website at a2apodcast.com/trauma. There you find a bunch of episodes that Mike Miller, the head clinician, will start in, as well as contact information. So you can certainly take a look at them and see if it's a good fit to address some of the things that's happening in your life or maybe in the life of somebody that you love. Lastly, if you're enjoying our content, if you just go ahead and hit that like, comment, share, do those things, interact on the different platforms with us. I really do appreciate it. It's the best way to support us. Keep spreading the message. In the meantime, enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, watchers, listeners, supporters of all kinds. Welcome to another episode of the Ash is Awesome podcast. I am your host, Chuck LaFlange, Chris Horder, and I am in Krabi, Thailand, halfway around the world. In Mission, BC is my good buddy and co-host, Ryan Bathgate. How you doing today, Ryan?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good today. Do I want to say good today? No. I wouldn't accept that as an answer, so I gotta, yeah. I am feeling hopeful. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling healthy. This new way of life is an old way of life, but a refurbished renaissance. It is like, it's like, why do I gotta learn shit the way I learn shit? You know what I mean? Like, why can't I just
way I
be
know
like,
how?
I know, like, why can't I just be like, hey, guess what, dipshit? You're not anything special, and this life's pretty good, so you don't need to add anything to it. You dummy.
Right? You remember that time adding fucking substance to your life made it better? Right?
Yeah, me either. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
So I'm good. Like, it's just like, I know a lot about this, which makes it worse.
Right.
Like the old saying, "You might as well take my advice because I'm not using it." Like, I'm a fucking poster child for that saying, man.
Right.
So
well,
yeah.
Now I got to make a meme note real quick, by the way. And I'll give you a collab on that one. So yeah.
By the way, I thought your name was Chris LaFont. That's how I always knew you.
Well, and here's the thing. So didn't I ever tell you? This is something to talk about, actually.
Yes, I know about it. But
you do know the story? Okay.
Yeah,
right. But let's talk about it anyway, because now that you said it, not everybody knows about that, right? So,
okay.
I was born Chris Horder. It's my name that I use now. My mom remarried this incredible man, Jeff, when we were 6 years old.
Jeff is my homeboy.
Yeah. He's awesome, isn't he? Hey.
Yeah, I think he should bring the mustache back, man. I love the mustache. He had like that, right? He had like that weeping big 80s mustache.
Yeah, he had some like a strong facial hair game, right? But,
and he also worked in like a steel fabrication plant or something.
Way back when, absolutely.
Which fit the mustache perfectly. And I think he had a Canadian tuxedo all the time too.
With the plaid.
The denim.
The denim, yeah.
It's like that's the song when you go to the bad guys fucking zone in Mario World.
Denim.
So
it totally is. Look at that.
That's totally stolen from Paulie from Jersey Shore.
Okay, yeah. I'll never not hear that when I see that again. Yeah.
Anyway. Mario?
Yeah. So
anyway, Jeff's last name is LaFont.
yeah.
And
So
that's how I
mom
always
never,
knew you. I didn't know Hoarder. I never knew that until now, until recently,
no,
until the
right.
last
And
couple of years.
basically nobody in my life has, outside of course, my dad, like Peter Hoarder, who passed, a couple of years ago now. But we,
R.I.P. Peter.
she never, he never adopted us, right? Because like Peter was still our dad, but she just, back then, we're going back 40 years, right? You could just kind of assume that name, and that's what she did. So she registered us in school under LaFont, and on we went, right? We just took on his last name. So when it comes time to get a passport, ID, and all that, that's who you are. You're like, I never even considered using the name Hoarder for anything because I just grew up as a LaFont.
But your birth certificate said Hoarder.
But my birth certificate said Hoarder. So why that matters to the program, and it's a major problem. When I came out of active addiction and I had lost all of my ID, everything, right?
No,
I moved provinces back from Saskatchewan. I'd left Saskatchewan, come back to Alberta. Now, here's important. This is important.
Is that an upgrade?
Yes, that's an upgrade. Yeah. I had to think about that for a second, but yes,
well,
it most certainly is.
Anything that's not BC sucks.
Yeah, as you've made clear. So anyway, let me fucking quit interrupting. Okay,
why are you upset?
You mad, bro? Anyway, so I get to Calgary. I want to get, I'm getting my life back together. I'm sobered up and whatever. And I go to get ID. Well, I need proof of address. So I figure that part out, and my birth certificate, of course, says Hoarder on it, but I've never encountered this problem before. So I go to the registry and they're like, we don't know you're Chris LaFont, right? Like your birth certificate says Hoarder on it. It's like, but okay, I've lived in Alberta most of my adult life, or half my adult life anyway, before moving to Saskatchewan. I had a driver's license, a passport. I went to jail, healthcare, all under LaFont. And then in Saskatchewan, I had my passport reissued, not because it doesn't matter provincially, but still, I had to get my passport reissued in Saskatchewan under LaFont, driver's license, jail, healthcare, all social services, all under LaFont. But now I'm sitting in a registry in Alberta. They're like, we don't know you're LaFont. So, but there's a picture of me in the system, right? Like, just pull that up. No, that's not proof. So when I had to get my passport, there was a form called the assumed name change form. You just go up in front of a commissioner of oaths and say, hey, I swear I have been known as by LaFont for 40 years. Sign this off. And you could take that in. And it was a document that you could use to say, no, this is who I am. When COVID came on the scene, they got rid of that because the fraudsters just went nuts when everything was online, right?
Yeah.
So I can see why they got rid of it.
Yeah.
However, now I'm a guy who's been homeless for the better part of 2 years, moved back to my home province, no ID, no proof of who I am, trying to get my life back together, trying to get a bank account so I can get assistance, so I can, you know what I mean? Like all these things. And the hurdles, man, the hurdles.
Wow. You might as well just go get high.
Well, let me tell you.
I don't mean to be facetious.
But it's so true because there's a resentment, right? There is a resentment, a massive resentment, a frustration. There's barriers, and like I just want to get my life back together. You guys are making this so fucking hard, and I'll tell you what, it was the first meltdown I'd had, like a panic attack, if you want to call it that, in months. Was walking through that registry because it was so frustrating.
Yeah,
and what ended up, so I called the Alberta helpline 311 and said, what am I supposed to do? And they said, well, you're going to have to get a legal name change. I've been homeless for 2 years. A legal name change is a trip to Mars. I'm trying to adult. What the fuck am I supposed to do? It was the most frustrating thing to go through. I said, well, if your birth certificate says Hoarder, then go by Hoarder.
Fresh credit.
Yeah, kind of. Well, social insurance number sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
So just a quick interruption to let you know that the special sponsor for today's episode is FAR Canada. That's Families for Addiction Recovery. They are a free service. They offer weekly group meetings, the peer-to-peer support system that's just seriously next level, as well as a phone line that you can call and talk to somebody and get some support in real time, because sometimes that's just what you need, right? So check them out at farcanada.org, and back to the show. But anyway, so I had to get ID under Hoarder, and that's who I am now. When I went to go get my passport, no problem. Hoarder, even though I had one issued under LaFont, they knew it was me. It was like, yeah, no problem, Hoarder. So now I just go by Hoarder, and then the Chuck LaFlange thing was just, an alias I created a long time ago. I used it at the beginning days of the show because I wanted to stay anonymous. I don't believe in that anymore. And because I don't know. It was a different show back then, right?
I know. You remember you told me to come up with a name. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
No.
Right? No. So, but I was
one of a kind.
I was early, right? I was like 4 months fucking sober when I started this thing, right? So very different mindset back then than I have now. But those frustrations for somebody, and keeping in mind, I've got resources that a lot of, I won't say most, but most certainly a lot of people don't have when they're coming out of active addiction, when they're coming out of life on the streets, right? And they're trying to get their life disorder and life together and all that. I had resources that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
I have family backing me up and all those things. And it almost broke me.
Yeah, I know.
That process almost broke me, right?
Yeah, so, and honestly, like I'm living in that myself. Like, if I didn't have all this experience in recovery, there's no way that I stay sober going through this shit with courts and stuff. There's no way.
Right.
Like if I wasn't so set on knowing what I have to do, because I've been through this time and time again, that I know what to do. If I didn't know that, I'm relapsing.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Right. Like the stress, the weight, the heaviness, the fear,
all of it.
And then the frustrations of like, first of all, bureaucracy and common sense don't share the same space at the same time. First of all,
True story. True story, right? Yeah.
Like I know that what's going on, what's going on, and you still won't do it, you dipshit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you can see my picture with my name on it, you dummy. You know?
Right.
And it's like...
do you know what they suggested to me in that registration office? You're going to have to get Saskatchewan to call here and verify who you are.
Saskatchewan.
I can't convince you, and I'm standing in front of you. I'm going to call Saskatchewan? Who in Saskatchewan am I going to call?
Like it's someone's house. I think they're sleeping.
I know.
Like,
yeah, right? Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, no. This half of the year they're not on your time, so it's already they're on lunch right now. Come on, right?
The proverbial they.
Yeah. So like pull it together, right? So it was just crazy. And my mom, who you know as well,
I do, yeah.
She said something to me that was really interesting, and it's something that's really stuck with me. And if there was a way to kind of help this move forward in the world, it was something I would love to be a part of. She said, when you get in shit with the cops, they know who you are real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Without a shadow of a doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, if you want to say that, right? If you want to punish me for my behaviors in activation or anything else, right? Whatever. You know who I am. If you want to put me in jail, you know who I am. If you want to burn my life to the ground, know who I am, and you can do it in 5 minutes.
But God damn if you start picking up the pieces.
Yeah. Right. Now, all of a sudden, it's a big deal to prove who I am.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I take it. And it was so, like she said, there needs to be a process where you can walk into a police station and say, can you just verify who I am so I can get some ID and get moving on with my life?
And then, or you walk in there, smash a window, and they'll know who you are.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, it's just so like when it comes to being punitive, we can identify you real fast. But when it comes to trying to rebuild my life, nobody has a clue who I am.
Here's the thing,
and that's like horribly frustrating. At the end of the day, what all of this, what I mean to say by all of this, and to keep it away from, making this all about how horrible our system is, and it is fucking horrible. But
yeah, there's certainly elements that are not pretty.
To take it back to the beginning, like to the person who's experiencing it, how hard it is for somebody to get their life back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, right? Like, and how we can just do better. And there's it really makes me feel for people, right?
What would happen if we designed or altered the system to be like in counseling we do person-centered therapy. In organizations we do strength-based work. Like what if we looked at these systems and was like, hey, I wonder how we could make this serve the citizen.
100%.
Like the guy that's like, my picture's right there. You see my name. You want me to call Saskatchewan?
It's insane. It is
Yeah.
absolutely insane that this is what's expected of people. And it just, and again, I revert back to that. I had resources. I was standing there with my stepmother at this registry. She was like, calm down, right? She's trying, she's there to help me pay for it. She's like, and I am like just completely, stressed out and having a panic attack, right?
Yeah.
And
you're also like,
think,
you have agency. Like you are an intelligent, motivated human being that articulates well. You understand complex theory. Like imagine somebody with like FAS.
Yeah.
That doesn't have their mom's been dead for 10 years and their dad's in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What the fuck are they supposed to do, right? And there is things happening. I know in Saskatchewan there's actually that Crown prosecutor, former Crown prosecutor that was on the show. She's with the Elizabeth Fry Society now.
Yeah, good show, by the way. Good episode, by the way.
Oh, you checked that one out, eh? She's pretty awesome, eh?
It was interesting to me. Like I saw the thumbnail. I was like, that's interesting because it does speak to power and like how how power's a mistress. Like we can be so I know this. Like I went down the road of relapse because of my place that I hid behind. So I used power to hide what was actually happening behind the scenes, which was using or on my way to using,
absolutely,
like, so
right.
I'm not exempt from that statement either. At all. But I do understand that, and like I'm like I said before, Golding, absolute power corrupts, absolutely, and I do believe that on some level, but I also think that there's elements of power that is in an asset that does not corrupt and does actually like embody the human spirit. And I just think that there are ways within our system that we can start to mold things that are more geared towards the agency of individuals or cultivating agency with individuals. Like imagine if you went through this process and you became stronger and and more understanding of things and like a better sense of self-worth and value. You know what I mean? Because I was able to like advocate for myself, or I learned how, or someone showed me how, instead of like, oh, you got an FTA, so you didn't make court in time, so you're on a breach, and now that's a criminal charge. We're gonna add that to everything else. Oh, I understand that you have mental health issues, and that doesn't really matter because you didn't make it to court. And like,
this is kidding me? This is the judicial system. This isn't the healthcare system. So
yes, exactly.
Never mind. No, this is.
But I mean, I think like I'm a counselor. I have a good understanding of the judicial system. I have an understanding of the medical system. I have an understanding of the education system. I understand these things. Why don't we have more of that? And maybe we do, and I don't know. Like I'm not.
What it comes down to. I've seen a couple things happening in Alberta and in Saskatchewan, and I know nothing about what's happening in BC. But what the approach is starting to be is this interagency thing.
Yes.
Where we and whatever a person wants to say about the Alberta model, I think the spirit of it is right. There's certain elements of it that people are going to pick apart and disagree with, but
with anything though.
Yeah, of course, right.
They
have a ministry that is trying to bring all the ministries together and be a hub for all of these services.
Ted Bundy.
Right? What? What? Fuck.
Ted Bundy got away with it for so long because each state didn't talk to each other. You know what I mean? So he went from Washington to Colorado to Florida and like killed people who were like, oh, these murders don't fucking go together. Oh wait, yeah, they do, because they don't have a central registry like Mindhunters. You know that show? You ever watch that show?
Oh yeah.
That's what that's about.
That's a great show. That's a wonderful show.
So like, doesn't matter if you can pick shit apart all you want, and like I don't know where I stand on Alberta's ideas. I know that I think personally that it all fits together. It's not to be segregated. It's like this is the way it all works together. Now, I think Alberta is great and Saskatchewan because they're trying something. Like they're getting in the ring, and they might take a beating, but at least they got in the goddamn ring. You know what I mean?
Right. And other parts of the country, not so much. Right. Other parts of North America. Right. Let's be honest.
Here, like it's like we're really saturated in harm reduction, and like it has a role to play, but it's not the role.
Do you know one of my former co-hosts on the show? I read a quote from her the other day. I'm not going to say her name because I don't even want to give that space.
I know.
However, the quote was, harm reduction can be the end goal. And I was just like, what the fuck kind of, no, the fuck it can't, was my response to that.
To be honest with
no,
you,
it can't.
If there wasn't human lives at stake, I wouldn't even pay attention to that. However, if that's the
It-
Kool-Aid we're drinking, then that's a problem.
Right? It certainly is. You know what I mean? And like, the goal has to be helping people improve their lives. How effective we are at that goal and what role harm reduction plays in that, there's a scale, there's a spectrum, whatever. Right?
Yeah,
but if you stop the effort at harm reduction, then what the fuck are we doing?
So that's what I mean. That's my whole problem with all of it. All of it is like every piece has a part of the fucking the spectrum, or the I'm looking for a different word. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to get it. They all have a part to play.
Yeah.
But each one of them is not an isolated solution for the whole thing. They all have to work together.
Right. Which I think anybody with any sort of enlightenment, be it basic or whatever, understands that harm reduction, abstinence, mandated treatment, whatever, they're all tools in a toolbox. And, you know, substance use disorder has as many versions as souls in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there is not going to be a universal tool. There's just not.
No,
right?
There is a grand body of work that has been dissected and then made almost pitted against each other.
Yes. Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of being like, hey, you know, like, to me, harm reduction is about relationships. So that when the person's ready,
boom. Yes.
Right. And so when the person's ready for the next phase of the continuum, that's the word I was looking for, then the handoff happens.
Absolutely.
Like, okay,
100%. Right.
I've been working with this person for 2 years. We have a really good relationship. I've been giving them harm reduction supplies. They came to me because I'm safe and said, I think I'm ready. I think I need to make a change. I think I need to do it now. And then I can get on the phone and be like, hey, I already got this set up with somebody that we have a fast access to get them into a detox bed, not have to wait 6 months, and then right from that detox bed into a treatment center where they're going to learn about that stuff while simultaneously being exposed to recovery communities, which I believe people should do in their own time and not at a treatment center. I don't think treatment centers are for recovery. I think they're for therapy.
Fair enough. Right.
But I also, like, when I ran a floor, I didn't check step work, but I did always suggest home group, service position, sponsor, steps on your own time. Because out in the real world, when you're not in treatment, that's how you have to do it.
Yeah, right.
You're accountable to yourself. Yeah, you know what I mean? So when you leave treatment, you already have a sponsor, home service position, a home group. You're on step 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have nothing to do with that as a therapist.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you about neural loop theory. I'm teaching you about meaning and purpose. We're talking about, I don't know, CBT interventions. We're talking about EMDR, whatever it is, but it's not recovery. It's not faith-based or it's evidence-based. And that's my personal feelings on that.
And I wouldn't be good to make a case for it because that's a whole nother thing. And I don't even think that I'm qualified to make a case for it.
I've been in the industry a long time. And I think, like I said, I think everything has a place and I think they all work together.
Absolutely right. So that's where this idea that's coming out of Alberta, it's not even coming out of Alberta, that they are attempting right now, is that interagency thing, where just like, if somebody could do that, please, right? That mental health and addictions is now the 7th largest ministry in Alberta, right? Like they went from a basement office to like one of the big guys. They're now like they're one of the big players in their cabinet, right?
Can I do a correction? The addiction is not a term anymore. It's
mental health.
MHSU, mental health substance use.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just to bring us up to 2024.
I'm probably still going to use addiction because it's the common language amongst the lay people.
I hear you. To be honest with you, like, I don't identify as substance use disorder. I'm in a meeting. I'm going to say I'm writing an alcoholic. But if I'm talking to you, I'm going to say that I have substance use disorder.
Fair enough. I don't refer to myself as an addict. So there we go.
Yeah.
Right. You know.
I don't actually either ever because I don't go to NA. So but
I believe that we're not far off from mental health and addictions no longer being separate things, even to say mental health substance use, right?
MHSU, mental health substance use, and it's all mental health.
Yes, that's my point that I'm making. Right? Is that
totally?
100%.
And if I think about every relapse I've had, it's because of poor mental health. burnout.
I want to go back to the harm reduction thing for a second, and you started touching on it quite well. And it just, for me, where my mind was completely changed was Dr. Lisa in an episode had once said, it's an opportunity to connect. That's where she was anti-harm. She was abstinence, right? And then as she went through medical school, she was learn more about harm reduction, and it's an opportunity to connect 100%. And that's exactly what you were saying just now, right?
I've interviewed hundreds of people, and the question is always on there: what are your views on harm reduction? The answer I want to hear is harm reduction is about relationships. It's about people.
Yep, 100%. Right.
That's it. What do I get? It's about needles. It's about Brillo. It's about straight pipes. It's about hammer pipes. And no, it's not about any of that. That's a medium for connection. You have what they need. What they need, and you have what they think they need. You also have what they don't know they need, which is connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And what do we know about connection? Yeah. That is the opposite of addiction. Yeah.
Through and through. 100% it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jason and I were talking in that episode that we recently did. And I don't know if we said it in the episode or if it was pre or post record. Jimmy Wednesday. I don't even know if we're allowed to fucking call him that. I mean, he's going to hear this because he listens to your episodes. But sorry, Jimmy Jason.
Jimmy.
Sorry, not sorry.
Honestly, he just texted me while we were talking.
Did he? All right, there you go. Yeah. So you have to let him know that he was mentioned.
He probably said, he always texts like one sentences. And so I was like, hey, you have 18 text messages. I was like,
oh, he's one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had a customer back in the day. I said, your number's 3. You're not allowed to make my phone make more than 3 noises. After that, I'm just going to ignore you for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Say what you want, right? you don't get to hit send every time you use a comma. Right?
He did one word, deadly. I said, I'm recording. He said, deadly. Deadly, send. However, send. I'm more important. Send. Laughing face. Send. Selfish, self-centered. Selfish, self-centered that we believe to be the nature of our problem. Send. Jimmy, sorry.
I would kill him for that.
Had to do it.
Yeah.
Had to do it.
Yeah,
I was like 6 messages. What the fuck? Has he got a novel here?
Jesus.
Like, 6 messages, 6 words.
So the exchange that we had was, if you're going to hand out harm reduction supplies, which I agree with, there should by law have to be some sort of information about.
So in my opinion, that's about leadership.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is, so if I was a harm reduction manager and outreach manager, and so that was one of the things that I asked my staff to ensure that they had was resources to go along with whatever they're handing out, including detox, treatment, recovery houses, the BCA, whatever number, anyway, list of phone numbers, so that if they're ready, including your number and card, that should go with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to me, like, yes, mandated, sure, but in my opinion, every manager should be having their staff do that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But
and so to go right back to the beginning of this, harm reduction can be the end goal. Like, in what world?
I can't get with that.
No, not at all. Right. And that's like, that indicates that like these people are happy.
So
they have a right to live like this. And it's like, you have a right to be happy.
There is models that it works. And the thing is North America takes every good idea and fucks it up. They do.
Yeah.
Switzerland did this amazingly. And people returned to citizenship. They got jobs. They're still, eventually, most of them got off heroin, but they were addicted. They were on the street addicted to heroin, dodging HIV through intravenous use. And that was the number one thing on Switzerland's agenda in 1989, in the political agenda. They introduced what we would call safe supply, which is just such an oxymoron. But they you would go get free heroin from your doctor. You go in the morning, do a shot, come home from work, do a shot. Originally, they were doing like 10 shots a day. And then about a week later, they went down to like 2 or 3. And then they got jobs and they started paying their bills and rent and taxes and became regular citizens that still had their medicine. And that's the way they looked at it. It wasn't like this stigma thing. It was like, it really sucks that you have to go see the doctor every day. Like, I'm working on moving away from that. And that's what happened. And people would start to, like, once the stigma's gone, once they could return to a sense of intrinsic resource through social support instead of degradation, it would become a medical issue instead of a social issue. And once it was a medical issue, it became about not wanting to be SUD. You know what I mean? Or SUD in recovery, which is, you and I are. And so, like the 4 pillars work great, not here. They tried to do it here, and the political agenda would not allow it to function properly, which ultimately ended in being turned on the public eye, and which to me is politically driven, and eventually it becomes a vulnerability for whatever office is in party to be attacked by the office wanting to be in party, and then it becomes about a fucking pissing match. Like, I thought we were talking about health and citizen potential. No, we're talking about another 4 years.
Yeah, it's always another 4 years,
right? And so, and we just don't see that in Europe. It's not how it works. There's legacy. There's people. Even politicians work together. And there's I don't know anything about Europe, but I'm pretty sure there's no smear campaigns like Bill G wanted you to vote for Bill C81, and he wears dresses. Yeah, he stole $8 from a girl that was trying to buy ice cream. 1981. The fuck does that have to do with anything? Yeah.
True
and
story.
That's what happens. It's disgusting. Like, you win by making the other person look like a piece of shit. Like, that's democracy?
Yeah.
Which is another empty word. I don't think it's ever existed. I mean, definitely not BC. BC Ferries is a monopoly. That's socialist.
Yeah, right. Do this is kind of totally off. It's not off topic because you just kind of did it, but an interesting thing. I was explaining to somebody back in Calgary about Saskatchewan. So they had the Saskatchewan Transit Corp, the STC.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Greyhound system all across Canada, all the small towns, whatever, when it was still a thing, right?
Greyhound, yeah.
In Saskatchewan, they went through the number one, and they were on 2 highways. That was it. Every other community was serviced by STC, by a Crown Corp bus line.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't know that, right? So you couldn't take a Greyhound from Estevan to Regina or from Prince Albert to Saskatoon or whatever. That was all STC, right? And then they ran it at a loss for years.
Sounds like ICBC.
And not just a loss, but like a massive loss, right? Because they're running buses up the highway with 2 people in them. There's just it was insane, right?
Have
it was insane.
About common sense and bureaucracy?
Oh, yeah, right. So the pushback when they switched to some smaller buses was immense.
Mm.
And then eventually the Saskatchewan Party government had to say, you know what? We are losing millions and millions of dollars a year so that 2 people can get a ride from Kamsack, Saskatchewan, right? Like, it's crazy, So we're going to shut down the line. And they did. So what happens? Obviously, there's a massive pushback, and all the people are like, oh, but how is grandma going to get in from, Elbow to Regina and whatever? But once all that dust settled, a company was born called Rider Express. Rider Express now covers every community in Saskatchewan, essentially, like all the ones that matter anyway,
Yeah.
With as small as a minivan, as a passenger minivan to some of them, because that's what it warrants, and right up to a full Greyhound size bus.
So common sense.
Yeah. And if you want to take a trip from Regina to Vancouver, guess what bus you're on now? Rider Express.
I didn't know you could take a bus.
You can, because Rider Express. Because as soon as the government stopped messing with, competing with private business and said, hey, you guys figure it out, the service got better, cheaper, and it just keeps expanding.
Yeah.
Like, exponentially. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
As soon as the government stopped competing with private business, it was just like, look at that. Now somebody's making a profit instead of the government losing millions of dollars. And everybody's a lot happier doing it.
Yeah. And they created more jobs and then sustainability. And so we have, British Columbia is socialist. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, Saskatchewan was for a very, very long time, right?
We don't have private liquor stores. We don't have private insurance. We don't have private ferries. We don't have private buses. We don't have
Yeah.
private police. Like
Yeah.
everything here is a monopoly relative to. Like I went to go make a thing for the reservation for the ferry, and basically the lady was just awful. Never clear. I think she took a course and had to be a jerk, to say it nicely. And like, what could I do about it? Go to their competitor?
Nope.
No.
Right.
No,
Mhm.
they win. What it doesn't matter what they say. I got to do whatever they say.
Yeah. Right.
So
So
naturally, I didn't do that. Someone else made the reservation. So I was like, "Fuck you! I'm not doing that. No, I'd rather stay home, not riding in your fascist ferry."
your fascist fairy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I thought I saw Himmler on there.
Ooh.
Just kidding.
They got canceled. That was
did you know that Hugo Boss designed all the SS uniforms?
I did not know that. I had no idea.
True story.
No shit, eh?
A Nazi sympathizer, yeah. So it was
Wow,
one of my
okay.
favorite phenomenologists. I learned, who's now not one of my favorite phenomenologists, but I learned that he was a Nazi sympathizer. And yeah.
Who's that?
Heidegger.
Okay.
Martin Heidegger. Who Being in Time was his famous book. Really good. Really brilliant guy. But yeah. And there's a few. Kierkegaard's he's one of my favorites too. He's a little bit religious, but I kind of look past that personally. But I mean, it's a sign of the times. 1800s, everyone was religious. He's the guy that said truth, subjectivity is truth, which means there's no truth. Truth is in the eye of the beholder. Subjectivity is truth. Truth is subjectivity. In other words, truth is never objective. It's always subjective.
Gotcha.
Which means it changes with each different consciousness.
Yeah.
And that would go to say that there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. Well, now that's a whole nother episode. That's what that one is, right?
If you think about it, right and wrong is a construct of the human mind, like time.
Yeah.
Time is how we make sense of the Earth spinning around the sun. Right and wrong in the organic world, there isn't right and wrong. Animals don't know right and wrong. They know instinct.
No.
I eat you, I live, you die. That's wrong for the thing that dies, and it's really right for the thing that ate it. Completely subjective.
Yes. Yeah. True story. Yeah.
So when I hear like this is the right way, I'm like, according to who?
Yeah. So do you cheer for the cheetah or the gazelle? Right.
Depends if I want to eat the gazelle too.
Depends on what mood I'm in, really, because project what you reflect, right? So like,
I cheer for the cartoon cow with a big smiley face in the packaging of my steak I buy, because that wasn't an animal at one time. No, it's a happy cow.
I dated somebody for a long time actually, who would not eat anything whose body part we didn't bother to rename. A steak was okay. A chicken wing was not.
What are chicken thigh?
No. Ribs? Roast?
No.
Okay. Right? Yeah.
Ham? Fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bacon? More. Give me more. Right?
Pork
absolutely.
Chop.
Nope. Right.
Let me get some hot wings.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, just absolutely refuse to, right? Yeah.
So they're clearly not a fan of chicken.
You had to have ham at Christmas one year because of that. I was pissed right off about it. Yeah.
Oh, turkey.
Yeah.
It's a whole animal. Yeah. That's just like really breaking all the rules.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So.
Well, that's neurotic.
Well, she was right. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's also the one. It's also the one that ended up leaving with my. Anyway. We're not gonna.
Yeah. Let's keep that can closed.
Yeah, I want to see bitterness come out in the episode. So, anyway.
So you know what? Do we want to go back to the original question?
Sure. What was it? I don't even remember.
How are you?
That went off on a tangent, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. My world. I'm moving in 3 days.
Yeah, right.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for that.
Excited for that. Typically moving is one of the most stressful times of your life.
Well, there's a couple things with that. A, I've been a mover most of my life, so I'm really,
Oh,
really
right.
good
I
at
know.
it.
That's how we used
But
to get
not that
beer
that
money
really
when I was 20.
applies. It doesn't really apply this time because, like, I have 2 boxes and 3 bags to move. I don't. Oh, and my desk / table, right? Like, that's it, and my office chair, which is, I really want to kill it and leave it behind. So anyway, like, I have nothing to move. So it's a half a pickup load.
Wow.
But
Efficient.
what it means is sunny. My yard right now, like, to have a yard in Thailand is not the same as having a yard back home. It's a jungle. Like, to own a yard is to have to tame a jungle.
Like
It's
snakes,
absolutely crazy.
spiders.
It's all out there, man.
What do you got for big
right?
cats
I haven't seen
down
any
there?
spiders, right? Well,
do you got?
tigers, but not anymore, right? So yeah,
Tigers.
Yeah, mankind fucked that right up. Right?
Was it like seeing a cougar here? Like, does it happen once in a while, or?
No, I think they're pretty much gone from the wild, as I understand it. And if they are, they would be way up in the mountains in northern Thailand. Like, they wouldn't be anywhere near around here, right? This is just too civilized, right?
We have cougar alerts all the time.
Bear
alerts.
Yeah, right.
We had 2 bears on my trampoline last winter.
No shit, eh?
Yeah. Just hanging out
on the trampoline.
They got on the trampoline to climb
the
tree.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
I live in a mountain town.
Yeah, it'll happen, right? But anyway, so the yard, to keep up on it's crazy, and it's not something that I like. You have to buy a gas powered weed whacker, and it just this constant trying to tame a jungle, right? So what ends up happening out there is fleas and ticks get really bad. So I don't want to
not a dog's friend. Yeah,
no, not at all. He gets at least 3 baths, flea and tick baths a week.
Wow.
And then I spray him on the off days. It's not okay. Right? It's not good for him.
That's real deal Lyme disease happening over there.
Well, yeah, man. Like, do you know how many ticks I found on my leg now? It's like, and I like, you want to see a grown man? Oh yeah, no, it's just not okay. It's not okay when that happens. So I'm really excited to be moving. More than that, though, more than what I'm getting away from, what I'm going to. 8 minutes from the beach, 6 minutes from Thai language school.
Where are you going? You going from Krabi to where?
I'm still in Krabi. So right now I'm in Krabi town.
Okay.
Krabi province. Right? So I'm Krabi.
There's a big national park in Krabi.
I'm not sure what that would be.
I don't know. It says it on the map. I looked at where you are. I looked at Krabi town. I looked at the beach.
Okay. So I'm going to a place called Sai Tai, which is a village in province of Krabi.
All right. Let me ask you a more personal question.
Mm-hmm.
How's that step work coming along?
Still haven't done it. Haven't found anybody. I'm still, you know what? I still wrestle with how to handle the faith part. And I know I've heard all of the cliches.
Okay.
I still wrestle with that.
Let me
and the reason I wrestle with it, if I can, I'll finish off and then ask you a question. The reason that I wrestle with it, if I was an atheist, I could do whatever. A tree is my higher power, or whatever is my higher power, universe, whatever. If I wasn't questioning my faith so much now, I could do those things. But I am. So I find myself on a fence of where do I land? And if I'm going to take an honest deep dive into step work, I feel it's important for me to know what I'm, where do I land on that? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does. I think I take a bit of a different approach. I think first of all, there's no atheists in a foxhole.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've experienced that a couple times in my life, whether it be a gun to me or being in a jail cell, where I've done, God, get me out of this, and I swear to God, I'll do. You know what I mean? The bargaining.
Yeah.
And so I took that and looked at it like, okay, at the very worst of the worst, I think I'm going to die, or I think that my life is over. Who am I talking to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's something there. Then from there, it's a big fucking question mark, and that's good enough for me. I don't know. Now, they say a God of our understanding. I say a God of my lack of understanding, and that's good enough for me. I don't need to know. I don't know what's past the Milky Way, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. I don't know if we're a conglomerate of a cellular organism at a microscopic level. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't know.
So, and we're at very different places, though quite similar. You're confident in the I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not.
So I learned a long time ago that that if I try to figure everything out, I'm going to be fucking racking my brain and get nowhere. The bottom line is,
I
dude,
take a lot of comfort in ignorance. I do. Ignorance can be bliss, right? Without a shadow of a doubt, it can be. You know what I mean? Like, just not knowing is okay, but like, you know.
Here's what I know, and this is data. In my life, when I have believed in something, my life got really good. When I turned my back on it, my life got really shitty. There's nothing to do with substances.
Yeah.
That is like, I turned my back on any spiritual beliefs sober, and years later I relapsed, but it took a while. And so like, and I was thinking about this the other day, like I've always had some kind of belief somehow. I know I used to collect all the spoons at home and pray that my parents would stop using, by taking all the dirty spoons. Ooh. And so I believed in something then. That's and deep. Then when Sherry died, I got angry, and I said I didn't. There is no God. That was my stance. My sponsor at the time challenged me on that. This is the early days, probably in 2001, maybe, or something like that. And he said, "Okay, you don't believe anything?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, it's just when your sister died, were you angry?" And I said, "Yeah, fucking angry." And he's like, "Well, how can you be angry at something you don't believe in?" Right. And I was like, "Damn it!" And actually, what I said is, "There's nothing you can say to make me believe there's a God." And then he said that, and I was like, "Okay, there's one thing you can say." Okay, not bad. Good job. Yeah. And so, like, I don't even care, man. I don't even care. Like I said, if it's gonna make my daughter's life better, then I'm gonna try.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've just been in places in my life that I believed in something when I had nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't know if that is what's required for people to like be okay with I don't know.
I've been okay with I don't know my whole life, and it's just very recently that I've been having this, I want to call it a crisis of faith, because I'm not in crisis. I'm in a pretty good place these days. And I think that if we were having this conversation a week, a month, 6 months into recovery, experiencing what I am right now, I would just do it. I'd go for the steps and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I would just start working that and allow that process to happen.
But what if this is its own process?
Maybe it is.
Right? I think it's evolution, personal evolution. I think you're actually...
Oh, without a doubt. Right.
Yeah, and you're looking at something and saying, hey, like, I'm not going to believe what you want me to believe. I want to look at this and believe in something for myself, because it won't be sustainable if I don't.
Yeah, right. So because I'm not in desperate need of doing the program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm in a pretty good place mentally and all those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit of freedom to really explore one before jumping into the other. You know what I mean?
You do, yeah. Until you don't. And then you're at a crossroads. Right. But you're not in that space right now, so why would you?
No. Yeah.
And you know what? Like, why not take the time and try to figure something out?
Yeah.
And like I said,
I've got all the time in the world, right? Like, I really do.
Maybe it ends up being the same beliefs as mine, where it's like you're at the same place. It's just you're okay with it instead of not being okay with it.
Yeah.
And this is, I was at this space a long time ago, probably around the same point of recovery you're at now, but I was 20 or whatever. And it was just like, I was not okay with not figuring it out. And ultimately I ended up suffering for that. And so what I learned from that experience was that that's not something I want to fuck with, but that was for me in my growth, in my development. And so and I don't, like I said, I don't even know what I believe in. I just know that nobody knows. So I'm making whatever the fuck I want. I believe I'm going to see Sherry one day when I go. And whether I'm right or wrong doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
What matters is what I believe now, 100%. And fuck, dude, that would be awesome if I got to see Sherry again.
Of course it would.
And so that's what I believe, and nobody can take that away from me. So my point is, you have the freedom to decide whatever it is, and it's yours.
Yeah.
And it's not up for debate. It's not up for subjectivity. It's not even up for anyone's opinion unless you ask for it.
Yeah. No, and I disagree with nothing you've just said. Nothing. And I think eventually I will get to that. The other thing, buddy, and like, it's not finding resentment, though. Maybe at some level it is, but I don't. For me to find a sponsor is going to be somebody online. Like an in-person sponsor here is probably not going to work out for me, right? Just because of sheer lack of them. And I spent a lot of my life online.
Yeah. And honestly,
it's just like, do I need another fucking thing to do?
It's not a race. You know,
yeah.
I'm
not in that place, right? So I've
That's
got the luxury of time now, right? So
you don't got a gun in your mouth, and you're not in a jail cell.
Yeah,
you don't.
Exactly, right?
You're not in a foxhole, so you don't. You can be. You can be whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, right.
You know,
but you have, and I guess where that question was born from, because last time we were talking, right? You have inspired me to take a real hard look at doing step work. Whether or not you've inspired me to do step work, you've definitely inspired me to take a hard look at it.
Which is more than it was.
Yeah, certainly more.
So it's a win, right? No matter what. Yeah. Even if you do nothing with it, it's still a win from where you were.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the reality is like, whether or not I want to believe it or not, it has an incredible asset that or a credible advantage that I would consider an asset. Whether I like it or not, the evidence is there. My life is better when I'm believing in something than it is when I'm not. Because what happens is I start believing I'm the solution, and that's a fucking problem.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Well,
and you know what? If I didn't eat shit, breathe, record, live, recovery,
who knows?
I don't. Yeah, right. I could confidently say that had I got a job in a warehouse back 2 years ago, or 20 months ago, I'm not sober today.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah, I think this platform brings a lot to you. I think what you've learned is far beyond what people learn in the confines of a church basement.
Right. Just pure exposure. I mean, by osmosis, if nothing else. I mean, look at some of the people that have come on this show and talked about SUD and from so many different angles and so many, right? I had a guy say to me the other day, it was a conversation in the comments on Facebook in some group. He's like, "Oh, buddy, you don't even get to hang with me at 20 months. It's like, you're a piece of shit. I didn't even I was just like, oh, there it is. The toxic ego. I'm done with this, man. And he's like, oh, well, no, I'm not doing that with you. Right.
You should have read the I'm responsible pledge. You know that?
You talked about it in the last episode.
Well, I'm anywhere anyone needs a hand in AA, I'm there to put out. I am responsible. Yeah,
and it was a weaponized thing he was doing with his clean time, which is gross and toxic ego and shitty and just whatever.
You want to go to compassion with that?
You've been sober for 20 years and you're a piece of shit, right? So what? You figured out sobriety and everything else in your life is crap.
So the only thing you've done well is not put shit in your body for 20 years.
Yeah, right. If you're saying things like that to people and your whole identity is wrapped up and you think that you're better than another human being because of, and right?
And you literally have nothing I want.
Yeah. So whatever. Right? I wasn't going to continue to engage with somebody like that, right?
Well, I think there's some good sport in that if you're up to it.
Oh, there's quite often. You want to pay attention to some of my comment wars, man. They get pretty good, right?
I bet.
Did I tell you about the pictures of people's kids?
No.
I'm not sure if you'll appreciate this one or think I'm a little bit crazy for it. I'm going to tell you the story, then we're getting into gratitudes, brother.
Okay.
So you go in and there'll be somebody, in one of these videos is suffering, obviously suffering in SUD, with SUD in just the most horrific way. Mm-hmm. And inevitably there'll be the comments. Let them, Darwin fucking will figure it out, or, let them die, or it's their choice, or whatever. And when I see a particularly hateful comment, it's something that's just it's enough to I'll even say trigger me to be pissed off that somebody would say something like that.
Critical word.
I don't even use the word trigger ever in reference to myself, but I guess technically that's what it'd be because I'm pissed off enough to make a comment back. Right?
It's a real word.
And I'll go to their profile, find a picture of them and their kids, and I'll take it and I'll blur out their kids' faces mostly, and then I'll post it back into the comments and say, if it was them, would you choose compassion and science over ignorance? Right? And I got some pretty wild responses.
Yeah. Right? Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I got some really great responses out of that. Yeah, I'm calling the local police and fucking shut up. Who cares? Yeah. I blurred out their faces because I'm a better person than you are. Right?
Crabby, come get me.
Yeah, right. And if it was illegal, and it's not in any way, shape, or form, you put your shit up online, and it's now public domain. So that's the reality of that, right? So
triggered. Anyway. Yeah. No. I like it because honestly, that brings it home. because that's what people are
right.
dealing with. That your fucking stupid, ignorant comments are affecting is the people that are hopelessly loving somebody that has substance use disorder. That have they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go, what to say, what's right, what's wrong. No idea. And you're telling them Darwinism, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's
awful things.
Let's
that
see,
happen,
you surviving and fit my fucking fist in your.
And I am in Crabby, so that's not an option. So I just find a sore spot and I pick at it.
Digital warfare,
yeah, right. So,
I've
been blocked by a lot of accounts, so yeah,
I bet. I like it, obviously. And you're being an asshole for all the right reasons. I love it.
Yeah, and the compassionate side of me is like, I hope you never have to experience that.
Yeah,
more for your kids than for you.
And is that not what you're saying?
Right. Like I hope to God that you never have to experience that and have to look back on this conversation and go, what the fuck did I? You know what I mean? Right. Like,
and honestly, because you have 20 years of experience not putting drugs in your body does not make you a humanist.
Yeah.
It actually doesn't give you any skill set beyond, I don't know, citing page 64 of the big book,
Yeah.
Anyways,
certainly. Was that meme I made? Can you imagine God judging us based on the amount of clean time we have compared to another person? Right?
Yeah, well, I don't know what God is, but I don't think it would.
No, right? Whatever version of God yours is or not, you know what I mean, right? Like,
here's the other thing I know is like, there's nothing my little girls could do to make me ever turn my back on them, ever.
No.
So why would God do that to me?
Yeah.
Or you?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So anyway, hey, let's get into gratitudes.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of the show. It's time for daily gratitudes. I'm going to say that because we cut into a little thing now. So actually, no, we don't. Daily gratitudes are brought to you by AARC, the Alberta Adolescent Recovery Center. They are in Alberta. They are a peer-based program for adolescents who are suffering with SUD. Treatment involves the whole family. It's groundbreaking. It's not groundbreaking because it's been around for 34 years. So check out their website at arc.ab.ca. That's ARC with 2 A's, and learn some more if you think it might be able to help you or your family. So, what you got for gratitudes, buddy?
I'm grateful for sanity. I'm being quite literal. Like, I'm grateful to have a return to a state of mind and being that is not just manageable, but an access to potential, to love, to peace, to understanding that I did not embody until this experience. And I'm grateful for struggle and all the lessons it teaches us. And I'm not always grateful for struggle because it fucking sucks sometimes. But at the end of the day, in retrospect, I always am grateful for struggle. Again, I'm grateful for really good people in my life that at times I probably don't deserve, but they're still there. Those that have shown up at my lowest have really shown me what it is to be a friend and what it is to see past behaviors and to use judgment as an asset and reinvigorate the human spirit through connection. And connection cannot happen without having some vulnerability and a lack of defensiveness. And so, and then my beautiful little girls and Marina and my entire family, my mother, Rita, Brian, all I'm just so lucky to have people in my life that I do. And like I said, there are times I do not deserve them, and they're still there.
No kidding, eh?
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Myself, it's funny. You think I would put more thought into this because I know every day it's going to happen, and every day I'm like listening to yours, listening to your statement, getting my next statement ready, which is horrible communication stuff. But learn that in life skills in jail, for crying out loud. I'm grateful for freedom. I'm grateful for freedom. I said jail, and right away it's like, fuck, I remember those days, right? I'm grateful to be here in Krabi, living my best life I've ever lived. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sober. Never tried that before, and it's working out rather well for me. So, and of course, I'm grateful to every single person who continues to like, comment, share, do all the things. You know what to do. Every time you do these things, you're getting me a little bit closer to living my best life. My best life is to continue making a humble living, spreading a message. The message is this: if you're in active addiction right now, today could be the day. Today could be the day that you start a lifelong journey. Reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member, pray, go to church, go to a meeting. I don't care. Do whatever it is you got to do to get that journey started, because it is so much better than the alternative.
So much.
So much. And if you have a loved one who's suffering an addiction right now, just taking the time to listen to our kind of a rambly conversation, you just take one more minute out of your day and text that person, let them know they're loved. Use the words.
You are loved.
That little glimmer of hope just might be the thing that brings them back.